Beneath the surface of history lies a secret that shaped kings, priests, and mystics alike. For thousands of years, civilizations across the world performed rituals so powerful, they promised to transform ordinary men and women into beings of higher knowledge. Yet today, the details of these ancient initiation rites remain hidden, buried in ruins, encoded in myth, or deliberately erased. What happened during those mysterious nights in temples, caves, and secret chambers? Why did entire societies believe that a carefully staged ritual could open a doorway to the divine? And why do echoes of these ceremonies still linger in Freemasonry, in the Eleusinian Mysteries of Greece, in the shamanic trials of Siberia, and even in the initiation journeys of tribal Africa? Picture a torchlit cave where blindfolded initiates kneel before elders in masks of gods. Imagine the trembling footsteps of a youth entering a sacred temple, knowing he will leave as someone else, or perhaps not leave at all. Were these rites symbolic dramas, or genuine encounters with other realms of existence? And if their knowledge was so precious, why was it guarded with secrecy, silence, and at times, even death? The truth is more mysterious than we think. The idea of initiation is as old as civilization itself. From the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of Peru, initiation was not simply a ceremony, it was a threshold. To be initiated was to cross a boundary, to die symbolically, and to be reborn with new eyes. In the ancient world, life itself was seen as a journey filled with hidden stages. Birth, childhood, adulthood, and death were not just biological steps, they were sacred transitions. Societies created elaborate rituals to mark these passages, believing that without initiation, a person remained incomplete, unprepared for the mysteries of life and death. Consider Egypt. Deep in the temples along the Nile, initiates underwent trials said to mirror the journey of the soul after death. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions, may not have been written only for the deceased, but also for the living who practiced dying before dying. Inscriptions tell us that priests entered underground chambers, sometimes lying in coffins overnight, as if rehearsing the moment of judgment before Osiris. What did they see in that darkness? Was it merely imagination, or an altered state designed to reveal hidden truths? Travel west to Greece, and you find the Eleusinian Mysteries. For nearly 2,000 years, people from across the Mediterranean made pilgrimages to Eleusis, near Athens. There, in strict secrecy, they took part in ceremonies dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, goddesses of life, death, and rebirth. Initiates were sworn to silence, and remarkably, that silence held. Even under threat of death, few ever revealed the inner workings of the mysteries. Yet ancient writers hint at a vision so profound, it changed the way one viewed life itself. Cicero, the Roman statesman, once wrote that the Eleusinian rites taught men how to die with a better hope. Now imagine the setting. A procession under moonlight, hundreds walking the sacred way from Athens to Eleusis, torches in hand, chants filling the night. The temple doors close, and the world outside disappears. Inside, initiates encounter a drama of life and death, enacted in darkness, revealed by sudden bursts of firelight. Were they shown sacred objects? Did they witness a symbolic death and resurrection? We cannot know, but their awe suggests something unforgettable. And these rites were not confined to the Mediterranean. Across the world, in tribal Africa, initiation has long been a central part of life. Among the Maasai of Kenya and Tanzania, for example, young men undergo trials of endurance, circumcision, seclusion, and tests of courage, before they can be considered warriors. For the community, these rites are not punishment, but transformation, a way of sculpting the boy into someone capable of carrying the tribe's responsibilities. In the Amazon, shamans lead initiates through journeys guided by powerful plants, ayahuasca, tobacco, or other sacred brews. These substances are not recreational. They are sacraments, gateways to visions of ancestors, spirits, and cosmic order. The initiate returns with new knowledge, how to heal, how to see beyond ordinary perception. But the price is high. Many are terrified by the visions, and some never return the same. Why were such initiations so widespread? Anthropologists suggest a universal human need, the need to give meaning to change. Every society recognized that moving from one stage of life to another was dangerous. It was a death of the old identity. Ritual gave structure to that chaos. It provided a map through the unknown. But there is another layer. Many traditions believed initiation was not just social, it was metaphysical. To pass through the rite was to touch another world, to gain access to secret knowledge hidden from the uninitiated. The uninitiated were seen as the profane. The initiated became the sacred. Think of how powerful this was. Entire classes of priesthoods, mystery schools, and secret brotherhoods arose to guard the knowledge of initiation. They created hierarchies, codes, and vows of silence. Some of this secrecy survives even today. The Freemasons, for instance, trace their symbolic initiations back to the stonemasons of medieval Europe, who themselves may have inherited echoes of ancient rites. So we must ask, if initiation was so important, why was it hidden? Why the secrecy, the oaths, the threats of death? One answer is protection. Knowledge misused could be dangerous. Another answer is exclusivity. Power is always guarded. Those who controlled the mysteries controlled influence. And yet, even across thousands of miles and centuries, the pattern repeats. The novice steps into darkness, undergoes trials, and emerges transformed. Could it be that all these rituals, from Egypt to Greece to the Amazon, share a common origin? Or do they arise from something deeper, an archetype within the human mind itself? The surface of history shows us fragments: temples, myths, oral stories, faded manuscripts. But beneath those fragments lies a hidden truth waiting to be uncovered. The deeper we look into ancient initiation rites, the more we see a pattern. Yet the details shift with every culture, every time, and every symbol. What remains constant is the idea of transformation, death, trial, and rebirth. Let us begin again in Egypt. Imagine standing in the temple of Abydos, where walls are covered in hieroglyphs depicting gods of the underworld. Some Egyptologists believe these temples were more than places of worship. They were stages for initiations. The initiate, often a priest or a member of the elite, was led into inner chambers, blindfolded, deprived of food, perhaps even placed in a coffin overnight. The goal was not torture but transcendence. By simulating death, the initiate confronted fear itself, and if he emerged, he returned with the certainty that the soul could survive the grave. Could this be why the pyramids, immense tombs of kings, also hold such symbolic power? They are not only tombs, but monuments to initiation. The pharaoh himself was the greatest initiate, rehearsing his passage into eternity. To rule Egypt was to be both king and priest, initiated into mysteries ordinary people would never see. Now turn to Greece again. The Eleusinian Mysteries remain our most tantalizing example because of their longevity. Thousands attended over centuries, including Plato, Aristotle, and emperors of Rome. Yet all kept silent. Ancient writers hint at visions of light, sacred objects revealed, and a sense of profound joy. Some modern scholars suggest that the initiates may have consumed a potion, the kykeon, possibly infused with psychoactive substances from ergot, a fungus found on barley. If true, the visions may have been chemically induced. But the experience was not merely hallucination. It was carefully structured, a ritual theater, a symbolic death, a sudden illumination. The impact was life-changing. Initiates spoke of never fearing death again. Picture the scene. In a dark hall, silence reigns. Suddenly, a blinding light floods the chamber. Sacred objects, perhaps an ear of grain symbolizing rebirth, are revealed. The crowd gasps. In that moment, myth becomes reality. Persephone's descent and return from the underworld is no longer just a story. It is a truth lived within the initiate's own body. But beyond Greece, the pattern persists. Among the Celts of ancient Europe, young warriors underwent trials in forests, sometimes spending nights alone among wild beasts. Among Native American tribes, the vision quest sent youths into the wilderness with no food, no water, seeking a dream or a sign from the spirits. In Siberia, shamans were said to endure visions of their own bodies being cut apart by spirits, only to be reassembled stronger. Each rite has its own flavor, its own symbols, yet they all point toward the same truth: transformation through ordeal. Why ordeal? Why must the initiate suffer, face danger, or encounter fear? Psychologists suggest that initiation mirrors the structure of the human psyche. To grow, we must let go of old identities. But letting go feels like death. Ritual provides a safe, contained environment for this symbolic death to occur. In doing so, it prepares the individual for real challenges: war, adulthood, leadership, even death itself. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, saw initiation as the encounter with the archetype of death and rebirth. He believed that myths, dreams, and rites all echo a deep pattern in the collective unconscious. In initiation, the individual confronts the shadow, descends into darkness, and then rises, renewed. But there is also the esoteric perspective. Many traditions teach that initiation is not symbolic at all. It is literal contact with other realms. Ancient Indian texts describe yogis undergoing initiation into secret knowledge of sound and vibration, said to unlock hidden layers of reality. In Tibet, Buddhist monks speak of practices where the initiate visualizes his own death, dissolving the body into pure light. The purpose is liberation, not just preparation for life, but escape from the cycle of rebirth itself. In the West, echoes of initiation can be found in early Christianity. Before baptism was simplified into a public ritual, it carried layers of secrecy. Catechumens, the learners, spent years preparing before being baptized, often at Easter. The act itself was not just washing with water, it was described as death and resurrection. St. Paul wrote, "We were buried with Christ by baptism into death, that we might walk in newness of life." This language, scholars note, is strikingly similar to older mystery religions. Could it be that Christianity itself absorbed elements of initiation from the ancient world? Some church fathers denounced pagan mysteries, yet also spoke of Christianity as the true mystery. Perhaps the structure, death, trial, rebirth, was too universal to ignore. Even today, initiation remains. Freemasonry, one of the world's most well-known secret societies, enacts elaborate initiation ceremonies. The candidate is blindfolded, led into a room, and confronted with oaths, symbols, and tests. Though modern Masons may view this as tradition, the structure echoes ancient rites: blindness, trial, revelation. The initiate emerges with a new identity, a member of the Brotherhood. But why has secrecy always surrounded these rites? The Eleusinian initiates were sworn to silence under penalty of death. Shamans speak in riddles, guarding their visions. Freemasons keep their rituals hidden even in the modern world. Secrecy, some argue, is what gives power to the rite. If everyone knew, the mystery would vanish. Others say secrecy protects the unready. To encounter certain truths without preparation could be dangerous, and so secrecy becomes part of the initiation itself. Only by entering the circle, enduring the trial, and keeping silent can the initiate be trusted with knowledge. There is also the political side. Throughout history, initiation created hierarchies. Those who were initiated gained power, respect, and authority. Those who remained outside were profane. In Egypt, priests controlled knowledge of the afterlife. In Greece, initiates gained a sense of belonging to a sacred community. In tribal societies, initiations marked who could become warrior, healer, or leader. To withhold initiation was to withhold power. So we must ask, are initiation rites simply psychological tools, or are they glimpses into another dimension of existence? Were the ancient priests and shamans merely dramatists, or did they truly open doors to hidden realms? Consider this. Across cultures, initiates report visions of light, encounters with the dead, or journeys through the underworld. These visions are remarkably similar, whether in Greece, Egypt, or the Amazon. Could this suggest that initiation taps into a universal reality, something beyond culture, beyond mind? Imagine again, a dark chamber, the air thick with incense. The initiate lies in silence, heart pounding. Hours pass. Suddenly a voice chants, torches flare, and the blindfold is removed. Before him stands a figure dressed as a god, eyes gleaming. In that moment, the line between theater and reality blurs. Is this man an actor, or has the initiate truly entered the presence of the divine? These are not just rituals of the past. Even today, echoes remain in military training, where recruits are broken down and rebuilt. In fraternities, where ordeals bind members together. In religion, where baptism, confirmation, and communion mark spiritual stages. The forms change, but the essence remains: to cross a threshold, to be transformed. What then is the hidden truth? That initiation is not about knowledge alone. It is about transformation, an irreversible change in identity. Whether through fear, suffering, vision, or revelation, the initiate is never the same. And yet, the greatest mysteries remain hidden. We have fragments, but not the whole. We see shadows on the walls of ancient temples, but the inner sanctum is closed. After tracing these threads across time and culture, one truth stands clear. Initiation was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be lived. The silence of the Eleusinian Mysteries, the secrecy of the Freemasons, the guarded visions of shamans, these are not accidents. They are the essence of initiation itself. To reveal too much is to destroy the power of the rite. What transforms the initiate is not the description, but the direct encounter. And so we are left with fragments, stone temples half buried in sand, cryptic inscriptions, whispered legends. The greatest secrets remain behind closed doors. Yet the echoes are undeniable. Again and again we find the same structure: descent into darkness, confrontation with fear, sudden revelation, rebirth into a new identity. It is the story of Persephone, of Osiris, of Christ, of every shaman torn apart and reassembled by spirits. It is the story of humanity itself. But what if these were not just stories? What if the initiates truly crossed a threshold into realms beyond death, beyond time, beyond the limits of ordinary perception? Did they glimpse truths about the afterlife? Did they meet gods face to face? Modern science may call it psychology, myth, or neurochemistry, yet to the ancients it was more real than life itself. Their silence speaks louder than any words. Something happened in those hidden chambers, something too sacred to share. Picture it once more: a dark temple, the smell of incense, the hush of 100 expectant hearts. A blindfolded figure kneels, trembling, on the threshold of the unknown. A torch flares, shadows leap across the walls. In that instant, the world changes forever. Was it theater or truth, symbol or reality? We may never know. And perhaps that is the point. For initiation is not history, it is mystery. And like all true mysteries, it survives in the question, not the answer. So we are left to wonder, if the rites of the past could transform the soul, what would happen if humanity rediscovered them today? Would we emerge wiser, braver, more connected to the sacred? Or are some doors best left closed? The hidden truth of ancient initiation rites remains just out of reach, waiting, as it always has, for those willing to cross the threshold.